Kenny, would you like to introduce our new guests?
Look at these guys.
Wow.
Indra and Guoyi have spent over a decade shaping not just what great hospitality looks like, but what it feels like. I know this firsthand, having been personally hosted by them, sharing some signature dishes, cold beverages in their hometown of Singapore. The beautiful husband and wife duo opened Singapore's Jigger and Pony in 2012. I've been, I love it. Since then, their vision has grown into a collection of venues across the country and more recently into Indonesia with over 100 members of staff. Their flagship, Jigger and Pony, has earned global acclaim, and rightly so, taking the top spot of Asia's 50 best bars in 2020, reaching 9th on the world's 50 best bars, and most recently being crowned the best bar in Singapore. I can attest, all their venues are exceptional, as are they. And this year, Indra was also nominated as Best International Bar Mentor at the Tales of the Cocktail Spirited Awards. So very fitting that he's there as a mentor for us today. Put your hands together and please welcome Indra and Guoyi.
Wow. Bright lights in front here. Welcome, guys. Hello. We are the only two people standing between you and lunch. So please bear with us. Please bear with us. Two great speakers previously, very different topics. We're going to try to continue building on that. I want to thank Tony, Jameson host, for having us here our first time in Ireland. Yep. And it's been an incredible few days so far. All right. I'd like to get to know more of you. Seems like, based on what Remy is saying, he knows everybody here. But forgive me, I'm new to Jameson Host, first year participating. So I want to kind of get a sense of who you lot are. How many of you here have been to Singapore? A lot more than Colombia. Good progress. How many of you have been to Jigger and Pony or any one of our group venues? Yep. Oh, great. Thank you so much. How many of you here either own or manage a bar or a restaurant? Was everyone? And how about multiple bar programs or multiple bars or restaurants? Okay, pretty much the right crowd then. I think so. Yeah. Let's hope. So, allow us to introduce ourselves. Guoyi, do you want to start first?
Yeah. I used to always like to open with the line that I probably have the shortest resume in the hospitality industry, but I think Sean just took it away from me by saying I don't have a resume. But essentially, I went to school in Australia, Brisbane. I studied accounting, graduated, and my father was, well, you can do anything you want to do. You just don't give back, but don't take. And I landed myself in Singapore Airlines as a cabin crew for 6 years. And during this period, the one thing that I took away a lot was learning about culture, delivering hospitality across cultures. So that was my 6 years and only job outside of Jigger and Pony Group. And I have now been, working Jigger and Pony alongside a wonderful team for the past 13 years. Yeah.
Right, and I'm Indra. We co-founded the bar together 13 years ago. Prior to that, I was in business. I was a management consultant with Bain & Company, and then in private equity, doing deals that were like hundreds of millions of dollars. I had a really high-flying career, and then I found alcohol. And I've been happy ever since. So, But today we want to talk a little bit about creating a culture of hospitality excellence. It's kind of a different angle to what Sean started this morning with, which is a mentorship relationship. A mentorship is best described as a one-to-one relationship, right? You have the coffee chats, you have the calls, you have the meetups and discussion. Another way to do that is to do a management relationship. Many of you said that you are managers or bar owners, restaurant managers, where it's one-to-many relationship. You are managing a group of people, typically. Now, that works, but we think it can be even better. And as much as we want to do mentoring, Sean was suggesting maybe have 2, 3 mentees. Once you have more than 10 mentees, really, are you being a good mentor? So we need to come up with a different system as our company grow, and as we always want to grow. How do we manage a better system? We call that culture and building culture. In that, we want to do a many-to-many relationships, where we have created a culture where everyone can then follow the same set of paths. That's what we're going to talk today. But let me now brag a little bit about ourselves so that you're convinced that perhaps we are somewhat qualified to talk about this subject. We've grown into a group of restaurants and bars. So on the left-hand side of the screen are our bars. We've even now opened Cosmopony, that's in Jakarta, so we're not physically able to be in the same place at the same time. It's getting even more challenging now to manage and mentor a team. So that has really placed a lot of emphasis on really building a culture that we can now go across the waters, across borders. We also have restaurants that runs very differently. The kitchen team, the bar team, you think they're the same, but they're quite different group of people. Front of a house and all of that. A couple of these venues have recently closed. Sugar Hall and Rosemead closed, but we'll be opening a couple more venues later this year in Singapore. So it's a constant process. These are some of our bars. There are 4 of them. Top right is Jigger and Pony. That's our flagship. It's a big bar, 130 seats. And we run it like we do restaurants. You have to make reservations. You get shown to the door. At the door, you're greeted by the host team. They'll bring it to your table, order from the menu, and we deliver it to you. It's a big venue, 130. No, we do not get 1,000 guests a day. One day, maybe. For now, we do, 3 turns, something like that. It's a full service. Top left is Cosmopony in Jakarta. We went a little bit larger, 150 seats with another 40 to 50 standing. So those 2 are big bars. But we also have intimate-sized bars. The one bottom left is Live Twice, and bottom right is Gibson. Gibson just turned 10 years old this year. They're quite intimately sized, about 45 seats per bar, and kind of like a different pace to the others. So when we're creating the system to this culture, we need to figure out how does it fit the different concepts, the different styles, and the different culture between Singapore and Indonesia. Okay, last bragging slide. Okay. We've been kindly awarded by some of our peers in the industry. It's something that we're really proud about. But one thing that I'm perhaps even prouder is the fact that the awards are not concentrated on just one bar. Yes, Jigger and Pony as our flagship is the most awarded, but we've been able to manage to attain a few accolades too for our other venues. Gibson, Sugar Hall. What I'm most proud about is the fact that the other bars are also awarded. And it shows that it's not about one personality, right? Until a few years ago, I rarely travel around to give talks. Then I start wearing baggier pants, so I look like Remy. And then, lo and behold, I'm here. You do great. But how do we create this, right? How are some venues able to consistently deliver that high level of hospitality? How to do it across venues, across concepts, and across geography. And since we've been around for 13 years, consumers have changed, right? Your regulars that was there many years ago, they are at a different point in their life, and they may not be coming to the bars as often. The team have changed. Some have graduated to open their own bars around the world, or some move into other things to do in their lives. So how do we keep that consistency in order to stay at the top of the game? So this is what we're going to be sharing today, and we're going to be using Jigger and Pony Group as a case study. But by all means, this is not a prescriptive way of how you should be doing things. Just think of it today as a framework for you to then adapt in your own culture, in your own venues, with your own teams. Yeah? But hopefully, structure is something that can be applied. Culture. What do you guys think about when you think culture? Is it karaoke late at night? Is it the work hard, play hard, let's party? Is it the camaraderie that you get with your team? Do you give each other nicknames at the restaurants, at the bars? A lot of people think of culture as that, something that is fun, people-centric, and exciting, right? The human side. We are kind of a little bit boring people. We come from Singapore. And when we think of culture, I like to imagine the way people would imagine Singapore to be. Singapore is known to be clean, safe, super efficient, and that the country is always innovating and changing. So we think of culture as being like that. Because I realized that when I step foot here in Ireland, I adopt a different culture. Because this environments around me, the people around me, the buildings, the history, informs how I behave. So when I'm in Singapore, I have to behave like a Singaporean. If I go to Japan, I have to respect the culture of Japan. That's the same thing with restaurants and bars. We have to intentionally create a culture in which every member of team, when they are working with Jigger and Pony Group, would adopt the Jigger and Pony Group culture. Today, we are talking particularly about the culture of hospitality excellence. Now, this is intentional. What you may want to build in your bar may not be hospitality excellence. It may be a different definition of yours. That's totally okay. This just happens to be the case study I'm sharing with you. That our culture that we're trying to build is this. That means we need to have the same set of beliefs of what this culture of hospitality excellence means. The same set of expectations, the same way of doing things. And most importantly, culture is where you put your money where your mouth says, right? Or as what Sean earlier said, do something that you say you are going to do. If you promise something, do it. Invest money, invest time in the right place to build your culture. The next slide is the money slide. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Can we all repeat that together? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to keep coming back to this. Okay? Intended culture. If you intend to build a culture of hospitality excellence, you need to have 1, values. And then you need to have, on top of those values, expectations. Once you have the expectations defined, you need to build processes. And to support those processes over time, you make investments. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? What do I mean by that? I'm going to give you some examples here. As a company, we have defined our values. That's step number 1, right? Values. I want to talk just about one value today, and that is to deliver wow through hospitality. This is a stated value for our company. We spend a lot of time, together with our managers too, coming up with the right phrasing for this, and this is what we want to do. We want to deliver wow through hospitality. That is the value that we're going to have. But if that is all we have, our culture may not be as intended as we want it to be. Because everybody's definition and expectations of what wow means might be different. Everybody's expectations of the word hospitality is definitely going to be different. So how do we align that? Right? But we have to start with there. If you do not have a value yet, if your company does not have a value, you need to start there. Don't skip this part. I'm not going to suddenly skip on all the processes here. Do this, do this, do that. Because until you have your number 1 as value, it's going to be very hard for you to arrange everything together. So have that. Once you have that, number 1, we built on step 2. which is how do you define the expectations? The expectations of this one value. How do you make it concrete? How do you make it tangible? Because the word hospitality is too broad. Our expectations of hospitality comes in 3 parts. They look like a pyramid because one has to be built on top of the other. First one, we want our hospitality to be fast and accurate. If you do not deliver fast and accurate, you can forget about hospitality. Right? Imagine showing up to the airport excited to come to Ireland for them to tell you that the flight is going to be delayed for 8 hours. Wrong timing. Right? It's not fast. Or they didn't accurately get your hotel reservations. Perhaps when you come in to the hotel, it's like, oh, I can't find your reservation. You're going to be upset. Therefore, fast and accurate is our first expectation of the 3 steps of our hospitality. Second, knowledgeable delivery. If I go to a bar and I request for a Jameson whiskey sour, I hope that the bartender gives me confidence to be able to serve a Jameson whiskey sour properly. Right? Or if I ask, could you recommend me another whiskey cocktail, please? I hope they'll be able to recommend me with the right level of information to make me feel as a customer that, okay, this venue knows what they're doing. And I'm proud of that. And then the third part is that emotional connection. Now, a lot of people jump straight away to number 3 for hospitality because it's like, oh, hospitality is like how to make you feel. It's true. But you got to build these foundations first. Because if you are the most charming person in the world with all the connection, but then come the time when we need to settle the bill and there's like some strange things we didn't order into our bill, not accurate, you're going to be like, this is a horrible place. Right?
And then the complaints come to me.
And then the complaints come. I just talk about the big things, by the way. After this, Guoyi is going to tell you exactly how it's going to be done. Right? So this is very important. Take the step to explain to your team, to yourself, write it down. What are your expectations for your value? If your value is hospitality excellence, these are our expectations. Be fast and accurate, knowledgeable delivery, and emotional connection. You with me so far? Right? Yeah. If you've gotten this far, you have your value, you have your expectations, you're halfway there. But it's that other part of the halfway that you've got to spend a lot of time and energy on. Processes and investments. 1, 2, 3, 4. Values, expectations. Third one is processes, and fourth one is investment. So let's go to 3 and 4. I'm going to take our first expectations. We're drilling down here, right? You see how big is the pyramid I'm trying to picture, right? We're now on, what is this, yellow bubble number 2, which is expectations. And expectation has 3 of them, so maybe is this expectation 2A? Maybe I should label it that way. But expectation number 1, fast and accurate. And then below here, I'm listing a bunch of processes. Right? That's number 3. And together with those processes are a series of investments to back up those processes. Right? Culture is not built overnight. Culture takes planning, time, consistency, and all of these things. But the more that you do this, the more that culture would become the way of life. That you no longer need everything to be spelled out. It becomes easier and simpler to build that across venues, across concepts, across teams. So what are examples of some processes? I'm going to start with the cocktail one, and then Guoyi will give us a little bit more on the service side and hospitality side. So on the cocktail side, for bartenders here, example of our processes for fast and accurate. One, menu engineering. It starts from there. When you're designing your menu, it's not just about how delicious it is. That's good. But then you need to think about, can this drink be replicated quickly and accurately? And what do we need to make sure we do that? Right? Ingredients, like what Jean is saying. If the products are seasonal and local, that's great. But sometimes they may not make it into the menu because you cannot guarantee the availability of that whole year. Can you do advanced prep ahead of time for that? Your bar stations. Every time we launch a menu at Jigger and Pony, we will update the stations, right? Where the vermouths are put may be updated because maybe the vermouths are not used as much in this menu, but maybe we need to have a little bit more or something else. So we need to rearrange everything from the back bar, the fridges, the speed rail, the setup. Do we need crushed ice this time around for this menu? All of that need to be planned through as your process, right? Do you have a consistent layout so that the next day a different bartender can still execute that process as quickly and as accurately? Because if everything is different, yes, it can create in more creativity, but it would not help in meeting our expectations of fast and accurate. We do speed and accuracy training, where we ask them to make cocktails on our menu, we time them, and then we weigh the bottles before and after, and we get an accuracy score, put in some advanced math, and it comes with a score, right? And we ask our team to, kind of like your golf game, keep practicing on it to improve your score. These are processes.
Yep.
And then behind the scene, we make investments. Right? We make sure we build things like central labs. Nowadays, it's very common things to do. But that lab is not designed to just have toys. That lab has to improve the consistency, the accuracy, and the speed in which we can deliver those drinks at the bar. Right? So how does that look? Right? This is ours, for example. Right? Okay, I showed the toys here just to catch your attention. But this toy right here is even more important. In Singapore, it's quite hot and quite humid. So we like highballs. We like very refreshing carbonated beverages. So we sell a lot of highball-style drinks in our bar, but keeping the right consistency of carbonated drinks are quite difficult. Some places like to have that, plastic Coca-Cola-like bottle, and then you top up the gas each time. One, it doesn't look so good. I don't quite like that Coca-Cola plastic bottle feel. It doesn't sound so good, that plastic.
The pop.
Yeah, I don't know. It actually takes a lot of time because each time you have to top up the gas. So what we have done is to have this pressurized filling, bottle filling equipment so that carbonated drinks can be filled from a keg, still pressurized, and then crown cap them like you would, what were we discussing yesterday? Petilla Natural or something, a pet nat bottle with a crown cap, so that then at the bar you just need to, one by one, open it up like a bottle of sparkling wine and serve that. So these are just examples of us thinking through our process, just so that we can deliver fast and accurate. And all of this thing become an obsession of the team to do so. Yeah? So coming back to this, on the service side.
I have a question. How many of you have ever had the opportunity to build your bar experience from the very, very beginning, meaning you were opening team, you had the opportunity to determine the guest experience from the moment they arrive to the moment they leave? Yeah. So that's really fantastic to see. And I think also when you open your first bar, you might make some mistakes and learn along the way. But thankfully in Junior Pony, we've had the opportunity to open more new spaces. And what I've learned and also what we have done this design into our process is designing the customer experience from the very beginning and making sure we are able to deliver the expectations. Here we're talking about fast and accurate. Yeah, fast and accurate from the very beginning. So for context, if some of you might have forgotten, Jigger and Pony is about 130-seater. We have 2 bars, one on the main floor, one on the second. And then last year, Indra was like, great idea, we should open Jakarta. Let's make it bigger. 150 seats and 50 standing, it'd be fantastic. So I think a lot of this comes down to how you design your operations. And the way I look at it is always about, like, we have a big bar, but small bar service. I don't know a lot about maybe some of the markets that some of you work in, but in Singapore, one of our biggest challenges is actually manpower. So in a lot of my service and stationing, when you see zonings and steps of service, I look at the way we design our service flow as how can we give our front of house team a section zone that you can take care of. And if you are short of manning, you can still deliver fast and accurate service, and therefore, meet the standards that you have placed upon yourself, the hospitality excellence. So, in a lot of our venues and in our designs, you will see Jigger and Pony has a lot of these like active service stations within the customer seating, and it actually encompasses a POS. But more than that, every POS actually has our table management system for you to update, track the profiles, the information of your guests. But also, one of the things I, learned very early on is sometimes your customers, yes, I think 90% come for cocktails. Sometimes just if that one guest is looking for a beer or a glass of wine. And I think customer expectations, depending on the item that they're ordering from you, if it's a beer or wine, I think they expect it a little bit faster than a cocktail. And also, I'm sure as cocktail bartenders, all of you are like, oh, shit, like, really? Like 2 whiskey sours, 1 Ramos gin fizz, 1 beer, and a glass of wine? What a hassle, right? So actually, in our group, in our operations, what we've done is we remove anything non-cocktail related from the bar. So our bartenders only work to dispense cocktails and also take care of the guests who are seated in front of them. On the operations side, all our front of house will have access to this service station where you see this fridge here. It dispenses all our beers and wines by the glass. And to me, KPI service time, that's something that we look at. For a glass of wine, should not take more than like 3 minutes, I believe, from the time you get the order from the guests. You key it in, you grab the glass, and you get it to the table. 3 minutes. Water, Singapore's really hot. But, as bartenders, how many times do your front of house go, can you top up my water jug, and put more ice? The guest's really thirsty during summer. Right. So each of our service stations actually comes with an ice bin and a water tap. And that is purely designed to take care of our guests, with our heart and making sure that they stay hydrated as they continue to consume alcohol in our venues. Yeah. So this is what our service stations within the group, whether it's restaurants or bars, you will see something like that across the group. In the restaurants, we'll have a bigger one a bigger station because we will include all the range of wines that we're serving by the glass, usually more. Yeah. So we go back. So when designing the experience for your customer, I think the moment you get a space, when you're thinking about, how big should my bar be? How much space do we need for our customers? I also think that it's really important to think about how you can deliver fast and accurate and design it into your layout rather than, oh shit, we don't have somewhere for landing or where are we going to put our cocktails for pickup? Yeah.
Fun fact. The more expensive the interior designer, the fewer service stations they tend to design.
It is.
You got to fight with them.
Yes, that's a fight I'm currently having with our current designer. Yeah. So that's zoning, steps of service, really important. Something that you should design into your venue before you start the build. It allows you to be intentional about how you're going to enable your team to deliver fast and accurate, and intentional in the level of hospitality you're going to be able to provide your guest. Table numbers and seat numbers. A lot of time, do you use seat numbering in the bars? Yeah? Okay. Oh, that's really amazing. Actually, I think in Singapore it's not that common. But, table numbers, seat numbering, things like that in Singapore is really important. The reason why I think it's important is because it has to be as simple as possible. Sometimes we'll have days, and especially during COVID, like you have 14 team rostered and 5 MCs. How are we going to make sure we can commit to all the reservations that walk through our door and commit to giving them that level of hospitality that we have promised them with the lack of, the experienced team that we have. And what we do actually in our group is we group optimize our customer demands. And sometimes we would maybe reduce capacity at one and bring the team over. But it is very difficult, especially for young staff, to be able to adapt and acclimatize into a new environment fast. So even things like your table numbering, your seat numbering, think about it like how easy and fast is it going to be for somebody new in that space to be able to remember that. And if you have more than one venue, think about how you can mimic the venue where most of your team, your largest venue, most of your team work at, to ensure that your systems run sort of like a line, so that when your team have to support a different venue, they already understand really quickly how to do that. And they're able to contribute, and that builds on their confidence. That's a little bit of fast and accurate and, across venues. Reservations and table management system, do many of us use it? I'm not sure. In Singapore, and all our venues actually, we take reservations. Yeah, which sometimes people feel like it's a little bit weird that we take reservations and do seating times in our bar. People feel like bars should be a place you can walk in. We do keep about 30% of our capacity for walk-in guests, and then we take reservations for larger group sizes and people who, want commitment to being able to have a space. Yeah. So I think, when you are choosing your reservation system and your table management system, you think about the process of how the customer experience will be. A lot of us probably have seen the back end of today we have 100 reservations, what time they're coming in, the flow. But I'm not sure how many of you have actually gone onto your reservation site and tried to make a reservation at your own venues to experience what your customers would have experienced. And, identify how you can improve that customer experience that is the very beginning of your customer journey. Yeah. So it's something that we look at, and in order to achieve this also, every, I would say, year, I think it's also important to relook the systems that you have. For example, what POS you're using, what reservation table management system you're using, and see how you can build on that, improve, so that you're able to enable your team to deliver fast and accurate. For example, just now I was just putting in a reservation, and Eleni was like, what is that? And actually, we are currently in our group using 7 rooms as our reservation system. And I really have enjoyed working with them for the past about 5 years. And right now, any point of sale system that I choose will be determined on whether they have a 2-way auto integration for our 7-room system, because that allows me to be fast and accurate, and we will talk more a little bit about that later, because it streamlines the process for my team, where they're able to see customers' past visits, what they enjoy. So focusing down onto your systems that you use is also really important. Yeah. Service stations with full functions, yeah, That's something we have. I can show a little bit more. This is an example. I just run through a little bit. 150 seats, 40 standing right here. Full service with water, chips, and we take orders at the table for the guests. How do we achieve this? A lot of you here may be bartenders. I come from the service side of the experience. So our bar has 4 stations here and 2. And I think in a bar, when you are designing your stations, you always think, how can I make it so that it's the least amount of movement around me gives me the fastest output of my cocktails, right? So in a way, for Cosmo Pony, also building a line of what we understand from the Indonesian customer base, we have designed our service stations to be that. So we have a main service station here, one here and here. For this floor, probably accommodates about 110 guests plus the 40 standing. And we have 3 main stations that delivers all that for our guests, including bottle service. Customer orders a bottle of like Jameson's and says like, I want a bottle to my table. And again, goes back to our bartenders only make cocktails. Everything else that is service related should be removed from the bar to allow our team to do what they do best. So in Cosmo Pony, knowing that bottle service is a really big part of Indonesian culture, is in this service station here, we have also, rather than a chiller for wines, which is actually housed in this service station, I have inbuilt a freezer that keeps your block ice for your glasses, frozen glasses, and also block ice for our punch bowls. Yeah. So how can I not disrupt my bar team when we sell about like 15, 20 punch bowls on the weekends? Can you imagine me coming and disturbing you every, 10 minutes? Can you top up ice in these glasses? Yeah, so I try to make sure that it's designed in the service flow, including for the lounge section. The lounge section actually takes into consideration that people sitting in the lounge tend to be smaller groups. So actually punch bowls and bottle service is actually less in demand, and our guests in the lounge area actually consume more cocktails. A lot of the punch bowl drinkers and the bottle drinkers actually sit in the main floor because they are the large groups. So then we still have a wine dispense station here, but also an additional station for water, ice, and chips, which I think is a gesture of hospitality to our guests. Something that our team can dispense really quickly and ensure that the guests can start their journey with us.
You guys follow that? So 1, 2, 3,
4.
Right? We came up. This is part A of part 2. I don't know. Right? Fast and accurate. And then all the processes.
And
we can go through days and days of those processes. And then the investments. We need to put our money where our mouth is. If we say we want it to be fast and accurate, and we have all these product ranges, we need to think about how we're going to invest in it. It's not just about making the place look beautiful, but it's really about delivering that promise. Right? So, we go to the next one. Knowledgeable delivery. We come back to number 2 now. 2B. 2.2. Clause 2.2. Okay. And then, same thing. Same process. You drill down. For these expectations, which is how to deliver knowledge, we need to build processes. We can't rely on just making sure that we hire incredibly knowledgeable bartenders who can tell everything about the products. We have to create a system where they know, as soon as they step in, that delivering knowledge is part of my expectations, and that I have the tools, the processes, and the investments behind it to back it up. So let's go about that. Cocktail knowledge is the most important piece of knowledge that we need to deliver in a cocktail bar. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So how do you deliver that information? Some people say, oh, easy, my bartender is well trained, he knows everything. But if you look at our floor plan just now, most of the guests actually do not sit in front of the bar. It's 130 seats, 140 seats, 150 seats. Maybe on the bar is 15. So majority of the guests are going to be seated at a table somewhere or busy chatting with their friends, right? And that bartender is maybe occupied making a drink and conversing with the guests in front of them. You don't want to wait for so long to say, tell me about this. What is the difference between Black Barrel and original, right? We don't have time for that. So we need to create this information flow through our menus, right? Include information that at least covers the basics and allows them to do so. We also get a lot of tourists at Jigger and Pony since it's becoming a bit of a well-known bar. So they want to know what our cocktails look like, right? A lot of them comes with very little information. They just said, oh, I heard Jigger and Pony is famous. Like, you serve Singapore Sling, right? We do, but this is how our Singapore Sling looks like. And our menu is very pretty with photos around that. We make sure we give them recipe tests, knowledge tests, behind-the-bar tests. We are Asians. We're very good at tests. Very, very good at tests. Guoyi will later shares with you her Pony Academy, our internal
Helicopter parent.
helicopter parenting for the win. We will test you until you pass. And we do that because we found that within our context of the Singaporean culture, they like it. Right? Taking a test is much better because I know what I have to pass. I know what I need to learn. And we have to then provide a curriculum for it. We have something that we call 50 Classics Bible, right? Somebody comes in, I want to have a Tipperary. Okay, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to pretend like I do. I go to my POS machine, Tipperary, recipes there, glassware is there, exactly for that bar. By the way, if you go to another bar, because different bars of ours may have a different, concept, style. For example, Live Twice is a little bit more Japanese leaning. Then over there, we will adjust the dryness, sweetness, strength level, portion size, depending on the glassware. So that information is already planned and pre-programmed. They are processes, right? And our bartenders know all this when they do this because it's part of our culture already, right? Dietary fact sheet, right? Somebody comes and it's like, I'm gluten intolerant. We know what it is. We joke that the menu at Castle Martyr, the subprint on the allergens is longer than the actual menu. Right?
Longer than four steps.
But at least it gives a sense of comfort to the guests that they are knowledgeable. At least when I dine at Castle Martyr, I would say, okay, if I have these allergies, they're going to take it seriously. It seems like they have considered this. Right? Let me go through your cocktail site. And then on the investments, we need to plan that. Right? We need to invest time and money. If you want to take photos of every single one of a cocktail and publish it in your menu, well, the glassware, the garnish, the look of it has to be completed way before the menu is launched, right? The bartender competition yesterday, how many of you submitted those recipes like 6 minutes before the deadline is due, right? And still making changes to the garnish. In our case, the deadline is photo shoot day. Once that's done, menu goes to print. That's it. You can't change it for the rest of the year either because it's in the menu. It has to look exactly the same. Customers like to take picture of our cocktail with the menu behind it, and they better look exactly the same, right? We hire professionals to do photography. We hire professionals to do copywriting. Somebody who is a drinks journalist who understands a lot about how to communicate knowledge to audiences. So how do they look? For example, this is our menu. Our latest menu is called Embrace. Beautifully photographed photos. This, for example, is our espresso martini. And it has to look exactly like that every single time. Same wash line, same garnish, same color. Right? And it has the level of information that you need. What are the ingredients that go into it? And what kind of flavor profile can I expect as a guest? Those are usually the most asked question. What's this drink like? What's in it? And how does it taste? We need to give those basic information. Doing this also trains your staff to focus on those three-level information as the first layer of information that you need to provide to guests. Afterwards, maybe they can ask, oh, that doesn't look like an espresso martini. How is this different than a standard, classic, international espresso martini? Then okay, the bartender needs to be trained how to inform that. But this is an example of our menu that we take months and months and months to plan, months and months to produce because of this expectations to deliver knowledge. Yeah? And of course, the recipe development, just now, we already engineered it so that they can be made consistently. Okay? Now back to the customer side.
Yep. Pony Academy. One of the big things that, when we launch our menu, it runs for a year, and we turn over the setup of the bar, all the prep in 24 hours, including the stations. Indra mentioned that every time we change the menu, the bar team will actually redesign and shuffle the stations to make sure that we can be fast and accurate for this menu. So included in knowledgeable delivery, just touching on the menu first, is Pony Academy. It is a platform that I've worked to build in the last 2 years to be able to deliver knowledge to my team. Because I used to have this ex-bar manager. His name is Giovanni. And then I told him, Giovanni, I think the best way to see how well our team are doing is to test them. But Giovanni came to me and he told me, Guoyi, it's not fair to test the team when you don't provide them materials. So I was like, okay. So I spent the last 2 years developing the materials so I could do my favorite thing, be the helicopter parent and test them. Yeah. But in that also, when we say we are going to produce a menu that will run for a year, before the menu launches, we also have what we call a cocktail matrix. It is a document that is online, but we also share with the team so that they can go through, especially, imagine you're 18, maybe you haven't tried more than 20 cocktails, but you expect to deliver knowledgeable delivery. How can I ensure every staff, from my most experienced to my youngest and newest team, can deliver this menu knowledgeably? So what we do is we have a cocktail matrix. It includes items like what is the glass, what is the ingredients, what are the garnishes, and then a little bit of a talking point. Customers, like Indra says, will say, so what makes your espresso martini so unique? And when you're not confident and you're young, you would think, I'm going to answer that. Let me check with my bartender. I come back to you. So we include that snippet into a document that the team can share with the guests. So a snippet of information that's unique to this cocktail, and then alternatives, like if this guest really likes the cocktail, what they could have. And then 2 weeks before menu launch, we have a quiz during briefing. But it's not a test. I know we talk about a lot of tests and quizzes, but actually we do it more collaboratively as a team. A lot of times during briefing, we do these quizzes, but they are done as a team. So you don't feel intimidated that I don't know the answer. And we actually repeat them. So so this is for example, we have concept tests, right, for the venues. You kind of need to know what's the Wi-Fi password at Jigger and Pony when a guest asks. But on the next slide, you'll see what we have, what we call mock quizzes. So we design our program actually not to fail you, but to enable you. And actually we put the mock quizzes as something that you can do as many times as you like until you feel like you have retained the knowledge.
What's the passing rate required? 90% score, right?
95 for
90%,
managers.
90% score in order to pass.
Yeah. Hey, WSET distinction score? So, knowledgeable delivery and the customer experience. So Pony Academy is the first basis of being able to deliver that. And then the other thing that happens a lot is then the guest experience and being able to deliver it knowledgeably. How many of us, would have a customer and the customer will say I came here 2 years ago. You had a bartender. His name was Gerald, and he made me this really great cocktail. And you go but Gerald's no longer here, and he's on an off day. And what was that cocktail? So I think in terms of being able to also, as a team, as service operations, is being able to make sure that you share this knowledge with your team. And that's why whether your fast and accurate, your systems are really important to you. Because if a customer has a specific recipe or a custom cocktail that we've made for them, we would actually place it in their profile at the end of the day. And actually, with 7 Rooms, it's wonderful because our guest profile shares across the group. I've had the wonderful opportunity to see one of our regular guests from Jigger Pony went to Sugar Hall, and I was like, please send him his favorite cocktail from Jigger Pony, and he will love you guys as a team. That is how to deliver knowledgeable delivery by empowering your team. It's also through your team being willing to share. You know, some people say, like, I want to be the person who can create all the custom cocktails so all the customers love me. But when you're on a day off, does that mean the experience suffers? It should not, right? So we should, as a team, number one, be willing to share, and number two, also record that. This is all in the customer's benefit of an experience that elevates your venue. Yeah. Briefings are really important. Pre-shift and post-shift. We like to keep our briefing short, 30 minutes at max, so the team can have a good break before we open for operations. But what do we talk about? Sometimes a lot of our new managers like to talk about mistakes that happened yesterday. Don't do this again, okay? Like, this is really bad. Customer complained. Rather than that, actually, our briefings celebrate a lot of why the customers choose us. So we talk a lot about, like, how many regulars are going to be joining us this evening, how many potential regulars. So the job of whoever is our host team that day should prepare for this knowledgeable delivery experience by checking, like, our history of our guests to see they've been to our venue or they've been to some of other venues. And then where are they going to be seated so that we can share this information with our team. And that gives them the opening for a talking point with the customer to bridge that connection. Special occasions. People choose to come out to celebrate a lot. And we get a lot of birthdays, graduations, job promotions, honeymoon. And being able to know this by, in the process, the fast and accurate process, asking your customer, are you coming to Jigger and Pony for any particular special occasion, allows us to be prepared. And making sure that when you ask this question to the guests, you don't just like, okay, I asked them, well, I'm going to put it in my pocket now. We talk about it at briefing to make sure each of our team are aware of the special occasions that are going to be coming through the door, so we already know what we're going to do for them. Yeah. And later on, post-shift reports, we have a EODR. Depending on the venue and the experience of the team, we do, as a way to encourage our young team to build rapport with customers, we ask each of the team to contribute, like, a profile of a particular guest they had interacted with that day. So is it your first time to Jigger and Pony? Are you traveling? And each of our team would submit this information to the manager on duty that day, and they put it in the report. And it becomes something then the host has to input into our reservation system, so that we, through our customers' visits, we are able to understand our guests better and better. And that allows us to have our guests, come back often with us and feel like before they walk through the door, we already know them. Yeah.
It's pop quiz time. So, expectation number 1 was fast and accurate, right? Number 2 was knowledgeable delivery. What's number 3? Emotional connection. Look at that. Follow-on question, because, you got to get 90% marks. Once you have the expectation, what is the next steps? Number 3 and number 4. Oh. I flashed the results there. What's number 3? Processes. What's number 4? You guys are done already. I've got 2 minutes, so we can go through this one quicker. So emotional connection. the wishy-washy stuff, right? Ones that make people love you. Actually can be broken into two types of processes. The planned ones, even if they can appear a little bit staged, because that's what planned means, and processes for unplanned connections. Okay? And then investments through that. Some of this is going to repeat, so I'll just summarize in the interest of time. So the planned connections through the pre-shift report is to greet returning guests by name when you can, and to give them sincere goodbyes when they leave. Check their visit history for preferences. Hey, you like sparkling water, right? Or you prefer your whiskey sour without egg white. Known birthdays and little details. We prepare postcards in the venue, each branded for different concepts. And we give the team a little Polaroid camera and printer. And let's say you come over there, take a photo of you. The team will then write
Small little message. And include that to the guests. That makes their visit memorable, especially if they are tourists, let's say visiting to Singapore, or they are celebrating an important occasion. So those are some of the investments. But emotional connection also has to happen through unplanned things. So impromptu special occasions, you got to keep your ears on. You know, this person just came back from Bali, now about to go back to cold, wet Ireland. Well, maybe give them something to remember this trip by, right? An example, we overheard one of our guests and says, wow, your chips is really delicious, right? I really like these chips. So what do? We just take a little bit of like a plastic bag, like one of those, you know, in the kitchen. It's called a vacuum bag.
Oh, vacuum.
You're welcome.
Bag. This is above my pay grade, as you can see. Fill it with those chips, vacuum pack it, just write a sincere note.
Yeah.
Here's for your plane ride home. And that little touch, that process, is going to make them remember you, you know, as they were sitting in middle seat, economy class, eating those chips. Like, I wish I'm back at Junior Pony. Service recovery steps and follow-ups are critical. Service recovery is highly intimidating for people who are new to hospitality. And even if you've done it a long time, it's still not a fun thing to do, right? Generally speaking. So we assist by creating processes for the team. And we empower them with the ability to make investments. Let's say dry cleaning, as somebody spilled the drinks on you. It's like, oh, it's my favorite green shirt. You know, I brought it for Jameson. It's like, okay, now we can send it for dry cleaning so that it comes back fresh and pristine. A lot of time, people come to Singapore and says, I heard the Singapore bar scene is great. You want to go to other bars. So we don't want to print something that is completely, let's say, cookie cutter. But we want to make sure that the team is already prepared in a way to do this so that they can make referrals to other places. So it's all about giving them empowerment, but knowing, structuring that, and sharing the process of what they are okay to do and empowered to do, I think is really important. Anything to wrap up?
No, but with service recovery, I love my principles and lines, and I always, and talking about empowering the team in terms of service recovery, I always say we have too much money, we don't have enough reputation. And when it comes to the least favorite part of this emotional connection, which is, and going back to delivering wow through hospitality, I really believe delivering wow through hospitality is not just about making the guest experience so amazing, but actually not being fearful of your complaints that you get, but see it as an opportunity to bridge that experience with the guest. Because actually, every time you have a perfect experience, you actually don't really remember it. But if you have an experience that has a hiccup, and the venue is able to overcome and connect with you with that. Now, those are the experiences you remember the most. And I think with that is something that in our group, we empower a lot of our managers to say, do whatever you think is necessary in order to win back these guests. Yeah.
To recap and to wrap up, you want to create a culture that is intended. And how to do that? We do it by
1, 2, 3, 4.
You guys are great students, A+.
Yeah.
Right? Set your values. Set your values. Define your expectations. Flesh out the processes, and then invest your time and money on it. Right? What we share today is a short example, a brief example for one value of Jigger & Pony Group, which is deliver wow through hospitality. We have 5 values. So for each of them, we have also done this drilling down process. Yes, it's timely. A culture is not built overnight. Take your time, invest in it. Once you do, you now have this network of many-to-many relationships. Whether you are a manager, a bartender, a server, as what Sean's mentor said, that person holds the most important part of the job. But we think the absolute most important part of the job is to safeguard our culture and build on it. Thank you, guys.
There
We
was
have
time
time
for
for questions, or are there any questions, or are we all hungry? We're going to go straight to lunch, so if you have any questions, feel free to approach Guoyi or myself, and we can talk about it over lunch. Cheers.